I really wanted to zag on this.
Oh, it'd be
I really wanted to.
unclaimed territory.
Right. When everyone in the media is on one side, I take an extra beat and I'm like, let's make sure there's not groupthink going on. The Rams are a great organization. That's a great coach. They've done smart things. Like, let me take a beat and think about
savvy.
it. Let me divorce the fact that I don't like Ty Simpson, the prospect, that much, because we're all guessing to a degree on quarterback. So remove how much I feel about the individual player and the idea. And I couldn't do it.
No.
It feels very two timelines Golden State Warriors-y. And that was a mistake. I know they did win a championship in the midst of it, but it wasn't because they had these two timelines. It felt, too cute by half. And here's the part when I realized there was no good zag. I was like, well, how do I say something that's not what everyone else said? Something that one piece of this that I think people are overlooking. So now the second straight year they did this. And you could argue last year it's why they didn't win the Super Bowl. Last year, they traded their first-round pick for this pick.
Yep.
By the way, a few picks later, the Seattle Seahawks took Nick Emanwari, a position the Rams needed for a player that made a huge difference for them. And it is not outrageous to say the Rams just sticking and picking last year rather than looking for the future would have, and taking that player, or Malachi Starks, who the Ravens took, but a safety, might have been just enough when the Rams and Seahawks were this close to each other to flip last year's Super Bowl. And then this year, to take that resource that you could have had last year, except now it is an even better resource, when you can take Kenyon Sadiq, when you can take Mekhi Lemon, when you can take literally any position that will help you as the right now Vegas favorites to win the Super Bowl, to win this year's Super Bowl, and instead you worry about a post-Matt Stafford world, that to me is a little too greedy. It's like,
okay, so this is honestly the Nick Wright we all deserve. Not the usual antics, not the over-the-top theatrics, not that blatant Kansas City Chiefs bias or the constant trolling of the Bills, Ravens, and Eagles. No, this is the version where you just sit back and think, alright, because this is actually a fantastic take. Absolutely. Listen, I'll be honest, I haven't directly commented on someone else's opinion in a long time. Usually, they have their perspective, I have mine, and that's where it ends. But right now, I feel like I'm offering genuine, real-time analysis of this particular take. Because it's genuinely legitimate. It's awesome. I can't remember the last time I said something like that about Nick Wright, man. But yes, I believe it's a spot-on, perfectly accurate take. And it made me realize there's a deeper layer to all of this. People predicted last year that the Rams were in the market for a quarterback. There was a lot of buzz around Jackson Dart. Then, reportedly, the organization soured on the idea. They said, no, not Jackson Dart. I remember this very vividly because I was thinking, I'm hearing Sean McVay likes Jackson Dart. I feel good about this. And when they passed on him, I pulled back. I doubted myself, and I regret that now, because I was the one who said Jackson Dart would be drafted ahead of Shadur Sanders. And wow, did that turn out to be correct in a pretty wild fashion. So yes, all of that is fresh in my memory. Now, this year was supposed to be the quarterback draft. If you recall, last year everyone kept saying, next year is the real quarterback draft. Next year, oh my god, it's going to be so deep with signal callers. Then, when most people started saying, actually, this draft isn't very deep at quarterback, it's basically just Mendoza and nobody else, I was confused. I thought this was supposed to be the year. Then it shifted again, no, next year is the quarterback draft. And you just have to shrug and say, okay, sure. But this whole situation almost feels like the Rams said, we told everyone we were drafting a quarterback this year, and we're drafting this specific quarterback. I've already shared my full view on that. Because Colin, when he was talking about Zig and Zagan, honestly, I don't really know what the rest of the media is saying about whether this is a good pick or not. I try to reach my own conclusions first before exposing myself to everyone else's opinions. And even then, I let other people's viewpoints influence mine because I'm always open to changing my mind. I also wanted to read the comments. I saw people's reactions in real time during the live stream and all that, but my opinion remains very firm. How does Sean McVay feel about this? Listen, we can all have our own views. We can all pick and choose our arguments. Sometimes Sean McVay says something, and I disagree, and that's part of the fun. We can all watch a game. McVay obviously knows more football than any of us. He calls a play, and we yell, "Why did he call that? That was a bad call, Sean." We act like we could call better plays. That's part of being a fan, part of sitting on the couch and watching without actually being out there. That's just how this works. But at the same time, there's a real barrier. Teams have information we don't. They truly possess insights we can't access. It's easier to criticize a play call because we see everything from a wide angle. We know the personnel, the game flow, the situation. It's almost natural to insert yourself and say, "You shouldn't have run there, you should have passed, you should have punted." That makes a lot more sense. But when you're evaluating a quarterback or a draft prospect, the front office has so much more information than we could ever dream of. The conversations they have, the timelines they understand, they know how long Matthew Stafford is going to play, and they understand that in ways we simply cannot. We are not in those rooms. You can be the biggest football expert in the world and offer insight on whether to pass, run, or punt. But when it comes to draft evaluation, we just don't have the information. We're at the mercy of others. And that's when you have to defer more than ever to the higher authority, to the people who are actually there. And the fact that Sean McVay is clearly, undeniably, 1000% not in favor of this pick? That matters more to me than anything else. I don't think coaches or players, Ike Malik Neighbors apparently doesn't like who the Giants took. I couldn't care less about Malik Neighbors' opinion on roster construction. His view means exactly nothing to me. Again, just because you're a great player, whether it's Tom Brady, or a great coach, whether it's Bill Belichick or Sean McVay, doesn't mean you're an expert at everything. It doesn't mean you know everything about team building. It doesn't mean you understand how to manage the big picture and the small picture, long-term and short-term. Everyone has their own role. I'm a firm believer that to build a great franchise, not just a roster, but all the moving parts, you need people who know football at the deepest level. And you also need people who look beyond football. There's huge benefit in having people inside the building who aren't just football experts. You need different viewpoints, different outlooks. Some of the best GMs out there have no actual football experience. I don't even know if they played in high school. But they understand business, risk management, finance, and many other things. So there's a lot more to it. If I felt I could actually work for a team and contribute, it wouldn't be because of my amazing football knowledge, it would be because of other aspects of my background. There are plenty of people who know more about football than I ever will. So I believe in having variety. But when we're truly talking about how to win this year, what puts us in the best possible position to win right now, I look at the Rams and see an incredible opportunity, a gigantic step forward. People say, "Oh, they can find value at receiver in the second or third round." And sure, they've drafted receivers in later rounds before. That's true. But it's undeniable that this was a huge opportunity. Nick's point about them trading that first-round pick, I hadn't even thought about that when the Rams came up short this past year, knowing they had traded that pick to the Falcons. And yeah, what could that pick have been? You can always use it in a trade to get an immediate, Game 1 starter, a Week 1 player right away. That's what I pointed out for this draft alone. People said, they can find value in the second, third, fourth rounds, look what they did with Puka Nacua. And it's like, there are players available right now, whether it's the Max Crosbys of the world, the Dexter Lawrences, the DJ Moores, the Jalen Waddles, the AJ Browns. We know what you could have done with that first-round pick in terms of ready-made players. You don't have to guess, what will this rookie look like? You know exactly what you're getting. And to me, you're going all in to win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years. You're living and dying by Matthew Stafford. You're not trying to set up the future. You have a chance to win a Super Bowl. You're an elite team with an elite roster and an elite coaching staff, and you have the ability to reinforce that. And you could have done that last year. That's why Nick's take was so great. You absolutely, positively could have done that last year, and you didn't. And now, with hindsight, I'm actually mad that this wasn't brought up before. I'm mad that I didn't think of it myself. So credit where it's due, that was an unbelievable take. The Rams were so awesome last year, obviously an elite team, and they didn't even draft anyone in the first round. That is a massive missed opportunity. And like I said, even if you didn't want to use that pick, I don't remember exactly who was available last year in terms of trade or free agency, but I'm sure someone was available. I'm not talking about the draft itself, I'm talking about trading that pick for an established player. And they didn't do it. That's a missed opportunity. And this is where people have to check their fandom and not let it slip into automatic bias. I always say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. I think the Rams are unbelievably run. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are unbelievably run. I think the Chiefs are unbelievably run. The 49ers, there's a collection of teams that I think are incredibly well run. They've stood the test of time. The Rams and the Eagles especially, the Eagles have won with multiple coaches, multiple quarterbacks. They've built multiple Super Bowl rosters. You could argue that even though the Chiefs have won more Super Bowls in the last 10 years, the Eagles and Rams are better run because their success isn't completely really a NT on well, we have Andy and Mahomes. Once Andy and Mahomes are gone, are we confident the Chiefs can build another great team, find another great quarterback and coach? I have no idea. I know the Eagles can do it, without a shadow of a doubt, because they've literally done it, and I've seen them do it. I've seen the Rams build multiple teams. I've seen them make that unbelievable trade with Jared Goff and Stafford that nobody saw coming. So I have faith. That doesn't mean they're flawless. That doesn't mean they don't make mistakes. Howie Roseman is a massive reason the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2024. Undeniable. He's worshipped in Philly. But he messed up in 2025. Hiring Kevin Patullo, not getting a legitimate offensive coordinator, that's on him. He messed up in 2023, that's on his shoulders. He famously messed up by not drafting Justin Jefferson. You're not going to be perfect. Just like Matthew Stafford isn't perfect. Just like Sean McVay isn't perfect. Just like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Andy Reid, none of them are perfect. You're going to mess up. So we can say, oh my God, you're unbelievable, this is the best run franchise, you're the best coach ever, you're the best quarterback, but that doesn't mean you won't make a mistake. This, to me, was a mistake. You can get another Tyler Johnson type in the draft over the next couple of years. You can do that if you were a worse team. If you were at the level of, and I'm going to trigger some people so maybe I won't say a team's name right now, let's just say you were a lesser team than the Rams, not as close to winning a Super Bowl. People think the Rams were close even against the Eagles, right? Colin says, if you just got past the Eagles, you would have won the Super Bowl. And maybe, I don't know. But a lot of people remember that take. If Jalen Carter hadn't been in Matthew Stafford's lap, the Rams could have gone on to win it all. Possibly. They had a similar situation against the Lions. So they've been close, very close, and they truly have exceptional talent, exceptional coaching, exceptional quarterback play, and an exceptional offense as a whole. When you move beyond that Stafford MVP conversation, you can acknowledge that the roster was elite, the O-line was elite, the run game was elite. They had the highest success rate in the run game by a wide margin, meaning the best production on first, second, third, and fourth downs. They set up the pass game play after play after play. To me, that was the scariest, highest functioning offense. And they were literally one play away from taking on the Patriots, and we saw what happened in that Super Bowl. So in many ways, they were one play away from winning the Super Bowl. If the Patriots had played the Rams, I'd give the Rams plus 14 points, man. I don't think it would have been close at all. And we saw how close it was against the Seahawks. So it should have been all hands on deck. They made awesome MOV. ES in free agency and via trade, beautiful, loved it, it was exciting. That's why I kept thinking, man, this first round draft pick they have, they're actually a great example. We talked about this on the live stream, the Rams' ability to be as great as they are and still have a top 13 pick is almost like it shouldn't be allowed. It's almost an argument for why you shouldn't be able to trade first-round picks, because a team like the Rams, who were clearly a top 2 or even the best team in the NFL last year but came up short, now gets a top 13 pick. If things had gone worse for the Falcons, they could have had a top 10 pick. And you think, should that really be allowed? You're taking advantage of bad teams, etc. That's a different conversation entirely. But my point is, that's how good they are. It's literally unfair to now say, look what they can do with this pick, they're going to be even better. And they didn't use it to be even better. That's a missed opportunity. I'm sorry, but if I'm a Rams fan, if I'm running this team right now, I don't care about 2028 or 2029. I don't care about my quarterback of the future. There's always a quarterback of the future in the draft. Every single draft has one. And if not, then the next draft. Always. It always comes around. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Fernando Mendoza, Jackson Dart, Tyler Johnson, Brock Purdy, it's always someone. Always. 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 So, if you're taking this pick on this timeline with what the Rams can achieve right now, the quarterback selection can't just be we believe he could be our future. He has to have GOAT potential. Hall of Fame potential. He has to be a guy where you say, dude, we have a chance to draft Andrew Luck right now. We have a chance to draft the next Josh Allen. We cannot pass this up. Okay, I understand that. I get that. But Colin keeps talking about this is what the Packers do. And I'm like, the Packers have won what, 2 Super Bowls in the last 40 years? What they did with Aaron Rodgers, was that actually a success? They won 1 Super Bowl and went to 1 Super Bowl. Again, when people can get beyond their bias, Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever walk the planet. And no, I don't blame Rodgers for why they came up short and only won 1. That was a failure of the franchise. And now Jordan Love has been there for years. What have they been doing? Nothing. Now look at the teams that are actually taking big, aggressive swings. The Rams, what did they do? Won a Super Bowl. The Eagles, what did they do? Multiple Super Bowl appearances, won 1. These things matter. The Broncos took a huge swing, got to the AFC Championship game, and quite frankly would have gone to the Super Bowl. So this pick isn't a swing. The fact that the Rams were able to take multiple swings to improve their team and still have a top 13 pick, that's another swing you get to take. That is so rare and could be so valuable. So I'm just not buying the future argument, because I don't care about the future right now. That, to me, is honestly irrelevant. I trust the Rams to figure out the future. I trust Sean McVay to figure it out. And all these swings the Rams are taking to win right now, even if they unfortunately come up short, Matthew Stafford gets injured, or they lose in the playoffs, whatever it may be, it would be a bummer. It would feel like a lost opportunity. But I would know, hey, we did it. We went all in. We did everything we could. That's just proof that winning a Super Bowl is hard. And then Stafford retires, and you pay the repercussions of your decisions. I'm totally okay with that, because I have Sean McVay as my coach. We're such a well-run team. We'll find that quarterback in the draft in the next couple of years. We'll build out the roster. We'll trade some pieces and get draft picks back. And within a year or 2, we'll be back. Are you serious? Did you see how quickly the Bears turned things around? The Broncos? The Patriots? We can turn things around. In the blink of an eye, we'll get our Drake May. We already have our Sean McVay. We're good. In a blink of an eye. This isn't the Cleveland Browns, the Tennessee Titans, or the Arizona Cardinals. There's no fear here. That's what it comes down to. People talk about the Eagles, what are they going to do? And it's like, yeah, they have to move on from Jalen Hurts in a few years. Fine. They'll get another quarterback. If they have to fire Nick Sirianni, they'll get another coach. And they'll find a way to build another great, competitive roster. It'll be filled with names you didn't know existed, and then you will know them. It'll be the new generation of A.J. Browns, Jason Kelce's, Lane Johnsons. Just like what happens with the Rams, just like what happens with the 49ers, just like what happens with all the great teams. So you either believe you have a great, well-run team or you don't. So yeah, like I said, even if Tyler Johnson ends up being your quarterback for the next 10 years, you could get lots of other quarterbacks over the years who could also be your quarterback for the next 10 years. So even if he ends up being successful in the NFL, unless he becomes truly elite, truly top 3 or top 4 in quarterback rankings year after year after year, then it's a different story. And this is where I'll end, because I saw it in the comment section. I even addressed it in my earlier video. People say, yeah, but he gets to sit behind Stafford and learn. Sometimes that matters to me. In this situation, it means absolutely nothing. Truly, it means so little to me. There was a lot for Jordan Love to learn from Aaron Rodgers. There was genuinely a ton for Patrick Mahomes to learn from Alex Smith. Because of the skill sets Mahomes has, he didn't have to rely on the things Alex Smith did. So he learned a lot, and as a raw talent, having a year to learn from Andy Reid was huge. Absolutely. But the Brock Purdy's of the NFL, the Tyler Johnsons of the NFL, them sitting behind Matthew Stafford for a year doesn't really matter. Also, you have Sean McVay. That is the mentorship. That is the connection. And it's just different to me. If you're playing for Shanahan or McVay, it doesn't matter as much. If you're an absolute raw talent like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, then yeah, sitting behind Stafford and learning things you'd never learn elsewhere, that's valuable. But when you're a more prototypical quarterback like Tyler Johnson, there's a lot of overlap. That's not to say mentorship isn't important, I'm all about learning from crazy places. There's still plenty for Tyler Johnson to learn from Matthew Stafford. But it's not this slam dunk that people are trying to invent. I don't see it that way personally. Ironically, I was making the argument that if Tyler Johnson went to the Steelers and sat behind Aaron Rodgers to learn, I see value in that, but that's also because Sean McVay isn't the coach in Pittsburgh. That's a key difference. And also, the Steelers aren't in a position to win a Super Bowl right now. So it's not all or nothing. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the Rams taking Tyler Johnson now that a little time has passed? We've heard everyone's takes, read all the comments. How are you feeling about it? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd love to see you be part of it. I want to build something we all feel connected to, something we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.